Zach James. I'm with Backbeat Music and Backbeat Music School. I've taught and repaired instruments for 15 years. I've worked as a professional musician for 15 years. I mostly teach, but I also do a ton of the repairs. You know, I'm the main repair guy here. Work on guitars, restring setups. I can fix almost anything on a guitar.
What do you refer to your profession as? Are you a luthier? Are you an engineer? Or like, what exactly would you?
Yeah, the word luthier primarily refers to like somebody who builds instruments, but really that's not, or it, in connotation wise, it refers to people who strictly build, but really, you know, denotation wise, it's anyone that really works on any part of an instrument. So, you know, through the years, I used to kind of steer away from the word luthier, because I think anyone who, you know, I didn't really have a lot of training in this. I just kind of jumped in. So I think anyone who kind of gets the job and just starts it right away and has that kind of hands-on experience from the get-go, you get a little bit of imposter's syndrome. You get kind of intimidated by some of the guys who've been in it longer or so. But over the years, people started calling me luthier. People ask who the luthier is. They refer to me, so you know, I refer to myself as a luthier now. So I started out here as a luthier, really. I was a salesman and a luthier, meaning I just did the minor things on a guitar. So like if it needed the strings changed, the action adjusted, some saddle adjustments, some nut, slot, repair stuff. And, you know, we lost a teacher. And so I started teaching more, and I kind of got away from that. We hired a couple other guys, and we had a guy who was really great, and we started doing more types of repairs and things like, you know, refrets and fret leveling. Those are kind of big deal things. Those are things that, you know, you can't do that on your own. You're not going to want to go home and
definitely need two people working on that.
Yeah, you have to have a great deal of knowledge. You know, it's you can't pull the frets out of your own guitar. So after he left, I decided to really kind of take it more seriously in addition to the teaching, and just started doing my research. Started figuring out, you know, tools of the trade. You know, what you have to do to prepare the guitars to do it, and just really taking old guitars and just doing those repairs on guitars that didn't need it. And so that, yeah, I've been doing off and on for 15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
What made you come to Backbeat to become a luthier exactly?
Sheer cosmic coincidence. I was working as a barista. I was in college, and you know, I was working at fixing coffee as a barista, and I made the owner's coffee every morning. A large vanilla latte, 2 sugars, and he and I just became kind of buddies. And one day, out of the blue, he was like, "What do you? Hey, you play guitar, don't you? What don't you think? Have you thought about working on guitars and working in a setting like that?" And I thought, man, this would be amazing. You know, what a great college job. And so I immediately started working for him and graduated. And when I graduated, I started looking at other jobs, and anything that I could do. I wasn't making near as much money, and didn't have, and you know, the benefits were different, because you know, the benefits in this job are quite a bit different than your average job's benefits, and just nothing could even get close to the pay. So I just stayed here after college.
What's your process of working on guitars exactly? Like, what do you start with, and when do you consider like a process finished?
Yeah, so you may just run through the whole process.
Yeah, just go ahead and run through the process.
So, you know, usually one of the salespeople says it needs to be done to the guitar on the tag, but so if it's something as simple as a restring setup, pull it out, change the strings, adjust the action, put it back, call the customer. But usually, you know, if it's something like a electronics issue, that's going to usually involve some investigation. So I will take it open it up, see what I can just see if there's anything just obvious from the get-go. So that would be like an output jack. If there was a wire missing from an output jack, obviously I'm gonna have to solder that output jack to the rest of the electronics, and that's what I hope for. Hope I open it up and something like that. Or if a pickups come disconnected, you look for a loose wire from the get-go. Okay, well there's a loose wire. If nothing is obvious from the get-go, we usually call the customer. Hey, this is Zach from Backbeat Music. Just calling to let you know your guitar is ready. Get the backstory on the guitar. Did they try to work on this guitar? Did something happen to the guitar that would kind of signal to me something like, did they drop it? Did they pull the output jack? You know, did they pull the cord out and do something with the output jack? Did they leave it plugged in for a long period of time? Did they leave it leaning up against something? There's 100 things that I could figure out just by calling the customer and kind of asking them what's the backstory, when did this start, how did it start. And so if I get that backstory, then I can kind of figure out from there and start, you know, narrowing it down to, is it the potentiometers, is it the pickups, is it the output jack. Then this thing's simpler, like if it has some kind of buzz on the fingerboard, meaning you take your guitar and you play something and you're getting some kind of fret noise up here. I'm gonna start looking at the neck, looking really hard at the neck, really looking to see if I see anything that's out of whack with the neck, something I can adjust, some kind of simple adjustment. From there, if it's nothing that's going to be super simple, I'm going to have to call the customer once again, or for the first time if it's, you know, nothing electronics, and have a conversation with them about, hey, we're going to need to remove the strings, we're going to need to kind of really do some work on the fingerboard, renegotiate, you know, the price of what it's going to take to get their guitar fixed.
So what would you say is your like crowning achievement of working on guitars? What would you say was like something that like was a hard project, or just like it was a cool project to work on, or something like that?
The one thing I would just say is, you know, when I first started doing the wiring of the electronics, putting in 2 pickups into a guitar is no joke. If you go try to do that on your own, it's going to take you some time. So when I first started doing it, if I was going to put pickups in a guitar, it was the type of thing where it was like, you're going to have to spend an hour looking for a schematic, and then you're going to have to clear my schedule, and I'm going to spend about the next 4 or 5 hours putting in pickups. Now, if you bring me 2 pickups, I'll have those pickups in 20 minutes. I don't need a schematic. I know exactly how a guitar is wired. I know how every piece of that wiring works. I can literally pull those pickups out, put them in whatever way it needs to be.
So what other instruments do you know how to play besides just, you know, guitar? So.
My primary instrument is guitar. My second instrument is cello, which I only started playing about 3 or 4 years ago. But any instrument is not about how long you've been doing the instrument. It's how much time you've put on the instrument. And once you know the process of how your brain works and how to learn an instrument, each instrument becomes easier and easier because you just apply those skills that you learned in the first place. And so I've had people say, you know, Zach, I wish I'd learned to play bass when I was 15 years old. And I said, take 2 weeks off from work, start at 8 o'clock in the morning, stop at 2 o'clock in the morning, and you'll cram 5 years worth of practice into 2 weeks. And so when I started playing cello, you know, I'd go home at night, and 6 o'clock till 2 o'clock in the morning, some nights I would play cello. And, you know, I play basically on a collegiate level now. I play it like on a college level, or maybe even better, I don't know. But that's my second instrument. I play a ton of ukulele. I teach a ton of ukulele. Ukulele made a huge comeback about 5 or 6 years ago, and, you know, I'd say a good solid quarter of my students are ukulele students. I play drums, I play a little piano, I play bass, of course. That's about it.
All right, so any closing remarks or anything that you want to say?
If you're somebody who loves music, if you're somebody who wants to make a living in music, you know, go around, build that community, build a community of musicians around yourself, and consider, you know, learning to repair instruments. It's a really great way to get your foot in the community, to meet great people who will help you out, and who will, you know, further your interest in music. And if you're looking for some way to make music part of your life but still have a day job and still be able to function as an adult, the pay is really great. The hours, or whatever, for me in particular, whatever I want to make them. If I want to be off work for a week, I'm off work for a week. If I want to take off Friday, I won't be here Friday. I don't answer to anybody. So, you know, being a luthier, kind of repairing instruments, is an absolutely great way to take your interest in music and make it into a career.